What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only Tesla stock and what you should be looking out for the future. I'm also going to break down the fact that even though Tesla will likely have some downside going into this week, in my opinion, based off the news, data, and technicals that came out, things could change big time during the month of April because of some major catalysts coming. So I'm going to break down what those catalysts are, how this may affect Tesla's share price, why you should be very ready for high volatility during the month of April, and why on earth this could be a game changer for Tesla if things go the right way. Now, before I break anything down about the month of April and talk about what this news and what this data is, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Make sure you take none of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. And the last things, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you're guaranteed 7 free stocks, and 5 out of those 7 free stocks could be a free Tesla share. It's a limited time offer. The offer ends in just 6 days. Check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So anyways, when it comes to Tesla, this thing did close kind of red on Friday, and I mentioned to everyone based off other pieces of news, such as Cathie Wood selling $27 million worth of Tesla. She could have many reasons for doing this, not solely because she thinks Tesla is going to crash. They oftentimes do this, the fund managers, they oftentimes do this because they need to reposition, they see other opportunities and other risk assessments and other factors like that. So I basically talked about all of this stuff. I talked about the fact that Tesla was heavily shorted. The short interest is starting to go up. We're also getting many bearish signals as well for the share price. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Tesla breaking the 50 moving average and potentially coming down to fill this gap. I think that's most likely going to happen. And we're likely going to see this thing possibly continue to respect this head and shoulders that could be forming on it, right? There's a possible left shoulder here, the head, and then another right shoulder could be forming. No promises that this will play out exactly how it looks, but it is a possibility, right? So what this is telling me is for the last week of March, it's very likely Tesla is going to continue to slow down. It's losing relative strength and it's just continuing to slow down. But despite that happening, despite the fact that all of these things are so far playing out, things could completely change during the month of April because we are going to be entering the end of the first quarter. And that's when Tesla is going to be unveiling their first deliveries report of the year. That's going to be very important. So I'm going to break down what the numbers are telling us and also another big catalyst. But to start us off, going into next week, I just want to note that firstly, we have some housing data on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we have not really anything too significant besides some Fed speakers and also more housing numbers, some numbers affecting mortgages. Then on Thursday, we have the GDP numbers coming out, which are going to be very important, alongside initial jobless claims. That's going to be very huge. And we also have continuing jobless claims and other big numbers. Super important day next Thursday, followed by Friday, when we also have PCE coming out alongside many Fed speakers. So huge week next week for Thursday and Friday specifically. I just want everyone to be prepared for that. It will affect the markets, PCE especially. But when it comes to Tesla, there are two big dates coming up for the month of April. The first one is going to be once April starts, we tend to see Tesla report their deliveries, and I do believe that we have some good signals approaching that day. Also, on as of right now, according to the Nasdaq, you could see it's Tesla's earnings is supposed to be on April 19th. Not sure why this ad is appearing, but April 19th is when Tesla should have its earnings. So that's going to be very important for us. I'm just going to close that. But going into the very start of April, however, I would just want to note that we have some very important numbers coming out. Now, looking at the data, I just want to note to everyone that Tesla delivered a ton of cars going into last year. Tesla had a relatively strong report. And right now, analysts have their eyes set on Tesla's first quarter deliveries report. Tesla has been making upgrades to the Fremont Gigafactory, and there's a good chance they're going to give us a killer report from there. But looking at the data across the world, there's a good chance Tesla's actually going to meet expectations or even beat them. And I do believe this could actually improve the share price performance if Tesla does very, very well. But to start off, I want to talk about the expectations. Tesla's expected to deliver about 445,000 units, according to Barron's. And also, the delivery expectation for 2023 is about 1.8 million. So that's a ton of them. But the thing is, Elon Musk did say earlier that Tesla could actually reach something closer to 2 million in total. So that's going to be absolutely insane. If Tesla pulls that off, it's going to help the share price big time, in my opinion. But one thing worth noting, and this is something Elon Musk said, and many of the employees, is that Tesla might have a big gap between production and deliveries going into the later quarters of this year because of the fact that they're definitely going to produce a lot of cars, but there's no guarantee deliveries will be that high as the US is most likely going to be entering a recession. Once again, so far the data suggests that it's not affecting Tesla too badly, but we have to be prepared for that for the later quarters. But I don't want to focus too much on those. Let's just talk about the data so far. Right now, when you look at the quarterly deliveries, we could see Tesla's continuing to just kill it. Every single year, they do better and better and better. And then, if you compare them left to right, you could see if you look at the red bars right here, you could see for 2022, Tesla killed it for Q1. For Q2, there was a slowdown because of the lockdowns in China that did play a big role in slowing down their capabilities and their production and many other factors like that. But then they came back to kill it for Q3, and then for Q4 they also killed it. So in total, Tesla did well over a million deliveries. They absolutely blew away expectations, especially during Q4. And in my opinion, they're set to break the record again based off what I'm seeing. Now, I also want to note that when you look at the overall numbers, of production versus deliveries, they tend to be very, very close. But you could see every single year, growth just keeps on continuing. Now, Wall Street is not expecting Tesla to give us another 50% growth year over year for 2023 compared to like 2022. To achieve that, Tesla needs to give us 2 million cars produced and just under 2 million or very close to 2 million for the amount of cars they deliver if they want to give us 50% growth year over year for 2023. Now, most analysts are not expecting that. They're expecting about 1.8 million or about 34%. That's also very possible based off what we're seeing, but it's also possible for Elon Musk to be right. So if Elon Musk is correct, I mean, it's really hard to predict right now. I don't really know what's going to happen, but the odds do favor Tesla doing well so far. Looking at the overall numbers, too many ads, I'm sorry, but looking at the numbers, you could see for 2022, we did about 1.36 million in production, 1.3 million in delivery. So we did well over a million. Very, very impressive stuff. And once again, continued growth is what Tesla is thriving off of. The share price loved it in the very beginning to start us off. But the problem was there were other factors affecting Tesla during the time. That's why Tesla's share price wasn't doing as well in January, at least to start off the year. Elon Musk was selling. There were other things going on too. To me, it doesn't matter too much because right now, Elon Musk did make the promise that he won't sell more Tesla shares until like 2025. And there are not too many negative catalysts that are going to absolutely annihilate Tesla during a time like this. I do believe Tesla could have worse margins than before. I do believe Tesla could get hurt because of the recession, but going into like next year, by the end of the year, and other factors like that, I still think Tesla will show very good signs of growth, and I do believe Tesla still has lots of strength within it that are not necessarily going to be horrible for investors. Many people thought that, that Investor Day was really, really boring and this and that. For a trader, yes, it wasn't the best of things you wanted as Tesla did start to underperform after the big event. But as a very long term investor, you're probably very excited based off what Tesla was showing us. They have very strong capabilities, very strong abilities to produce more cars, and they're continuing to improve on a day to day basis. With that said, looking at the data, In Europe right now, according to the European Union, Tesla sold a total of 19,000 vehicles in just February. That's a 50% increase compared to February. Now, that's incredibly awesome in my opinion. And I also believe that this may be even better for the month of March. This tells me that I wouldn't be surprised if Tesla gives us over 55 to 60,000 deliveries in just Europe alone for the first quarter. And then in China, when you look at China, what is Tesla doing? They're killing it again in China. Tesla surges on strong sales in China once again. And this came out just a couple of days ago. I do not have the like super updated data for like right now. I don't really have that, but I do have some data for the end of March 19th. And what you'll notice is that Tesla actually had about 106,915 new Tesla registrations in just China alone between January 1st and March 19th. Now, you have to remember that during the last quarter, they actually broke their record with 122,000 cars delivered. And I do believe Tesla's going to be very close by the end of the quarter, or maybe even break the record. I think they're going to try to break it. That tells me that Tesla could actually achieve about 115 to about 125,000 deliveries in just China alone, plus the about 60,000 in Europe could give you about 175 to 180,000 deliveries just from China and Europe alone. And then that leaves you to the USA. We need around 100, not 100, 260,000 deliveries in just the USA to actually meet our expectations. I think Tesla could still achieve that. I say that because when you look at the inventory levels, there was a moment where Tesla slowed down its sales big time, but then it ended up doing much better after they had the price cuts. And so far, we're continuing to see the Teslas being bought up again and again and again, which tells me the demand for them is still relatively strong. The problem, though, is in the beginning of the year, we saw lots of high inventory, which tells me that the sales were not as strong in the very beginning. Also, not as strong during, I would say, the middle. This is like the middle of like January. So this is all very important because what this tells me is if Tesla started off on not the strongest of notes, but we did get lots of sales afterwards, I'm not too confident about how the US is going to look. I'm hoping they do very well anyways, and I'm still going to be optimistic. So could Tesla meet their goal of about 445,000, deliveries? I think it's very possible. I think that almost half of them could actually come from just China and Europe alone. I think it's very possible. I think it's going to depend heavily on how they did in the USA, but so far it looks like they're killing it in Europe and China. In the USA, I would like to presume that thanks to the price cuts, Tesla's still going to do well. So I would guess that Tesla should meet expectations, if not beat them. That is what I'm thinking so far. And the only problem with the whole like yearly forecast is yes, the odds do favor Tesla potentially meeting expectations. But then again, we could be entering a recession like super soon. And I'm talking about a dictionary definition recession in terms of like economic terms, which means two consecutive negative GDP quarters, unemployment growing, and contraction in the economy. We haven't truly seen that for a long period of time. We only saw it for a very short period of time back in like 2020. We're still waiting for it to officially start, and it's probably starting very soon. And with that said, this may negatively affect Tesla for the end of the year. I don't know to what degree. I'm hoping it's not too bad, and I still believe Tesla's going to do very well with the production means. I'm just not as sure about their deliveries for the end of the year. But besides that, for the first quarter, this could actually help the share price of Tesla if Tesla does very, very well with these deliveries. So, looking at the share price and going back to this end, I just want to note that yes, there's likely going to be downside coming. We could fill this gap. There could be a head and shoulders like formation, as I mentioned earlier. But once we approach April, once the report comes out, if Tesla absolutely kills it, if they blow all analysts and all of Wall Street away, the share price could still soar again and get another pump to the upside. Now, I don't know how much it's going to pump by or how long it's going to last because of how the market may dictate Tesla. If the market does end up like dropping pretty hard, it may not be a massive pump, but it still can actually show some signs of improvement because of a good report. Now, after that, I just want to note that after the very beginning of April, when this data comes out, It may come out during next weekend. I'm not 100% sure about exactly when. Typically, it comes out 1 or 2 days after the month of April starts for the first quarter report. But then after the report, let's just say Tesla continues to do whatever, depending on catalyst, whether it comes down or not. Then we have earnings on the 19th, and earnings is going to be very, very important. Tesla could rally off this earnings report or it could actually crash. This will depend on their margins, their deliveries, what they tell us about guidance. And I think guidance is going to be one of the most important things, not just for Tesla's earnings, but the entire earnings cycle. One other thing to remember about the markets is we also have bank earnings starting, I think, very close to the time that Tesla's earnings starts. So maybe a little bit before. When all of this data comes out, I want everyone to be very ready because if the bank earnings come out and they're really, really bad, they scare a lot of people and they make a lot of people think about contagion and things like that and bank runs. It could actually negatively affect the entire stock market. It could actually drag the markets down. So just be ready for that just in case. Might slow Tesla down as we approach our earnings report. But then again, Tesla will react depending on how earnings goes. So I just want everyone to be prepared just in case. I don't know exactly when Tesla's going to release their deliveries report. It's going to come sometime in the very early days of April. And when it comes out, I don't know if I'm going to be able to give you guys the update like immediately because I might be busy on the Saturday if it does come out on a Saturday. But on a Sunday, I will come to you guys and talk about it. So just be ready for it. And once again, when it comes to the way the market moves, yes, downside is likely coming, but we also are going to be very reactive to data. And it's very important to be very open minded and prepared for anything when the big events come. So, with that said, thank you all so much for listening. I just wanted to inform you all about the news that's coming out, inform you all about the catalysts. Once again, beginning of April, we have deliveries, then we have earnings scheduled for April 19th as of right now. I'm putting this out there. Be ready for it. Remain calm, cool, and collected. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Tesla to the moon because the long-term future is still incredibly bright despite the potential downside that could be coming very soon. And peace out.